Soundstripe.
Hi, welcome to Hawk Talk, the show where we keep you up to date with everything that's going on at the Batemans Bay Football Club. I'm your host, Joel Erickson. That's my co-host over there, Michael Kenny. How are you, Michael?
Good, Jolly. How are you, mate?
Yeah, good. And we've got a very special guest this week. It's the assistant coach of our senior women's team, Shannan White. Shannan, how are you?
Good, boys. Thank you.
We have been very excited to get you on the show, and it's been a couple of goes, but we're there. We've got Shannan on the show. Now, before we get into it, Mick, I just want to address an accusation that was made against me on the weekend by yourself, actually, Mick. I was accused of having a man crush on a certain ruckman for the first grade team by the name of Joseph Teggett. And look, I'm not going to be confirming or denying that accusation, but I do want to put on the record for everyone listening that out of myself and Mick, there's only one person who has photos of Joseph on his phone, and Mick, it's not me.
Yeah, that comment might have been out of spite, a bit of jealousy, mate, maybe.
Yeah.
He's my boy, Joey.
He's everyone's boy. Joey's everyone's boy. And he's going to be very chuffed that we've mentioned him on the podcast again. Now that we've got the frivolities out of the way, let's talk about what happened on the weekend. So we've wrapped up the regular season, and it's been probably one of the best regular seasons across all three grades in recent memory. Let's go through the results. We'll start with the women's. They started the day off in the perfect way with a 8-5-53 to one straight win over Woden. That one goal for Woden came, I think, in the last minute of the game. That's right, Shannon?
That's correct.
And that win sewed up the club's very first ever club championship. So that was massive for us. Amongst the goals, Sophie Alls kicked 3. A bunch of girls had single goals. The best on the weekend were Bray Reid, who in particular in the fourth quarter basically had the ball in a string. Shannan, you're in that list, and Hannah Brennan. Shannan, it's the end to basically a near perfect season for you guys, just the one loss. And it's probably a game that I was expecting from an outsider's perspective to be a little bit closer, considering Woden played you pretty tight last time you played them.
Yeah, I think that one loss was the only game I actually coached.
Don't say that.
But yeah, we definitely expected it to be a much tighter contest. But having talked to most of the girls after the game and quite a few people, we just turned it on. Don't know where it came from, but everything just has started to come together right towards the end of the season, which is awesome.
So that win has, my premiership was already locked in place. That's basically just going to be carrying momentum into the first week of the finals. You'll be playing ANU for a spot in the grand final. How are the team feeling with that coming up?
Pretty confident, I think. The ANU has been that one team that we have come up against a few times in finals, and it's always been pretty tight. But I think coming into it, everything has just started slotting in really nicely, and we're feeling very confident and really ready, I think.
Good. That's a matchup that's gone one each this year. ANU, I believe, got the win up the mountain, but we beat them here at home. So that'll be a good first game of the day on Saturday for our home final. Reserve grade. This is probably the biggest result for the club from the weekend. Reserve grade have locked in a top 2 spot with a 9-11-65 to 3-5-23 win over Woden. It means they finished second, and because of the quirks of the way that the draw for the finals are working this year, they're going to be able to play that home that home qualifying final. It'll be against Woden. So in the goals, Sam Truesdale kicked 3, Sean Green kicked 2. The best players from that game, Will Aiken, who is going to be a massive loss for the finals, Tate Vivads and Josh Veneris. Mick, I'll ask you about this one. You've obviously been around the club for a long time. Reserve grade traditionally has been a team that has started slow and then probably picked up towards the end of the season when they get a few guys coming back and getting the itch to play football again. You must be stoked to see this team actually finish in the top four, not only finish in the top four, put themselves into a really good position to qualify for a grand final.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Huge effort from the boys on the weekend. Obviously coming up against the Woden side that had previously only lost the one game. But yeah, huge effort from the boys. I thought Jake Prince in particular, obviously Will Aiken and Ryan Foley were two of the better players, but I thought Jake Prince, especially after quarter time, I think Cam Carr challenged him a little bit at quarter time and might have spurred him on a little bit. But yeah, I thought he was the difference, especially in that second quarter when they really, grabbed the game by the throat. I thought he was sort of the instigator behind that. But yeah, huge result for the boys. 5 years in the making now. I think they haven't played finals footy for 5 years. So I think last time they only just sort of snuck in fourth position. So this time to be in that top two and get 2 bites at the cherry home final. And much like the girls, I think the Rezzies are playing their best footy at the right time of the year, mate.
We should probably mention as well in this, Woden are unfortunately the losers when it comes to the quirk in the scheduling. They will finish top of the ladder, but are being forced to come to Bateman's Bay to play that qualifying final. Obviously, as a club, we don't mind it, but we probably do have to acknowledge that there might be some hard feelings from that reserve grade side. But my understanding is this is how finals were done for a long time before COVID came into place. Is that correct?
Yeah, mate. Yeah, generally, usually always follow your Div 1 men's. So, yeah, sucked in.
Fair enough. All right, the seniors. The seniors unfortunately took their second loss of the season. This one was 5-3-33. Woden were 8-11-59, 26-point loss there. Buster Ware kicked 3 goals to sew up the leading goal kicker in the competition. Our best on the weekend were Cal McDonnell, Joseph Teggett and Jonah Slocky Albert. Unfortunately, it was probably a game where it's probably the first kind of, in inverted commas, meaningless game the first grade side have played all season. Top spot was already locked in. And I think after halftime you could really tell that the game meant a lot more to Woden than it did to Bateman's Bay.
Yeah, I think that was probably the story, mate. I obviously played in that game and I thought we come out pretty hard, especially that first quarter. Woden sort of challenged us after that, and especially that second half. We obviously had a really bad injury to Dill Rotherham. Kyle O'Malley was sort of out of the game pretty early as well. And they full credit to them. I thought they brought the heat outstanding in that second half, and we probably weren't up to it. We had a few skill errors off the back of their pressure, and it's just one of those things. I think judging by being at training this week, you always learn more from your losses than your wins, and I feel it might not have hurt us just having a little loss like that just before finals gives us a chance to reset as a group and work on our strengths and our weaknesses, and obviously a different story at Hanging Rock on Saturday. Yeah,
let's talk about Dylan Rotherham as well, because obviously he's been one of the most improved players, not just in the first grade side, but probably at the club in general this year. He suffered a very, very horrific lower leg injury on the weekend. Has been forced to undergo 2 surgeries for that injury. But the guy's a trooper. I wouldn't have known how serious his injury was when he came off. He was kind of just sitting on the bench, didn't need the green whistle. He looked like he was just kind of, and he was always more concerned about afterwards, even after he'd been taken to hospital, he was more concerned about how the team had gone, which probably speaks volumes to his character. So Dill, if you're listening, the club's behind you, mate. Obviously a heartbreaking way to end your season. But I think the boys are probably going to rally around that and get the job done for him.
Yep.
We'll talk about the Rising Stars as well. You ended up your season with what you believe might be one of your best performances of the season, from what I can see.
The last 3 quarters were, yeah.
Yes. So this one was 6-2-38. Unfortunately defeated by Eastlake 17-10, 112. But tell us about those last 3 quarters. It must be pleasing to see a group who have, let's face it, it's been a bit of a slog footy-wise, but actually come up and play such good footy at the very end of their season.
Yeah, well, it was first on the ladder versus last on the ladder, and 51 points down at quarter time, and ended up losing them by 74. So that sort of tells you how good their last 3 quarters were. I think it's the most goals that we've kicked in a game this year. We kicked 6 goals in 3 quarters. Tully Ware obviously kicking 4.
Yep.
I was just really proud of him. I think, before the game, they were probably, more excited about what was going to happen after the game, winning the last game. But I think quarter time, we'll probably fired a rocket a little bit, and just sort of made mention that it's going to be the last time that a lot of those guys are going to get the opportunity to play footy together, being in their own age group. So, I thought the way they come out in the last 3 quarters was very proud of them, and very proud of the way they've held themselves all year.
So the best players from that game, a couple of the usual suspects in Tully Ware and Marty Preston, but Noah Reid was also on that list. Tell us, in no particular order, Mick, who do you think your top 5 and the best and fairest is going to be for your club, for your grade?
Ooh, yeah, I think there's probably sort of your 4 standouts. I think we've mentioned them a fair bit throughout the year. Probably your Tully Ware, Cal Dawn, Marty Preston and Alex Makey. They're probably your pick. And then there are a few guys probably after that are probably just don't have the commitment of those 4, but they're definitely just as talented. So guys like Noah Reid and Jarrah Weston, Tommy Lasau, these sort of guys, they're not too far off the pace as well. So hopefully they all hang around and have big pre-seasons, and can't wait to see what they can do next year in the senior program and the guys that stay in the Rising Stars.
And I love the fact that on Tuesday at training that we had a couple of your guys come down to training with the motto. It might have been tongue in cheek, but we'll give them the benefit of the doubt, saying this is day 1 of pre-season. And there were some of the usual suspects as well. So that's really good science for the club. Now let's look forward, because it's going to be a massive, probably the biggest day of football so far for the Seahawks in season 2024. It's a home qualifying final. All 3 grades will be playing. Going to be starting at 10 a.m. with the women's side playing ANU. Winner of that game will go straight through to the grand final. Midday, it'll be the reserve grade clash between Batemans Bay and Woden. Once again, winner of that one goes straight through to the grand final. And then the big one at 2, our minor premier Batemans Bay Seahawks first grade side are also going up against Woden with a bit of a chip on the shoulder as well from the loss on the weekend. So, look, I mean, if that's not enough to get you down to the footy, I don't know what will be. But if you're listening to this, if you've got nothing better to do on a Saturday, or heck, even if you do have something better to do on a Saturday, I'm going to tell you to get down here, because you're going to see 3 cracking games of footy. Get behind this club. It's going places. And look, we just want to see that hill packed out with various shades of blue and teal.
Yep, definitely. Get down.
And get down for the women's as well, because they've been, you could argue they've been our strongest team all year out of all 3 grades. So definitely get behind them and support them. Now, Mick, tell us who is playing in that other important final up the hill?
In
all 3 grades, if you've got it there.
Grades. Jeez, you put me on the spot here.
Sorry, Mick. Well, I can tell you, I know that the first grade clash is going to be Adfa against Googong.
Yeah, so that's Adfa versus Googong. You probably think Adfa will get the job done there, just off the results from this year.
Yep.
In the women's, it's Woden versus Googong. Talking to Shannan and Soph downstairs before, I think they're pretty confident that Woden will probably get the job done there, Shannan.
Yeah, definitely. I think they've been the stronger side all year, and they've been the one to push us the most and got up over ANU a few weeks ago. So I'd say that'll be the outcome of that one.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And then in the Rezzies, it's Adfa versus ANU, which by the look of ladder positions or points on the ladder, pretty tight one. So. I'm not sure how they've both fared throughout the year, but I think our boys have had a 1 win, 1 loss against both Adfa and ANU.
Yeah, I think we beat them both at home and probably lost them up the mountain. So,
yep.
So big weekend of finals footy coming up both on the coast and up the hill. Got a couple of milestones for this weekend as well that we want to mention.
Yep.
2 100 gamers playing first week of finals. Talk about the first one, Rory McDonald, a guy who's played a lot of footy this year on the wing, but has kind of moved his way forward as the season's gone by, and I think has really made cemented a spot for himself down there. He's fast, he's got good skills, it's manic pressure, he's proved himself to be a bit of goal sneak as well, but he might be most famous at the club for being the boyfriend of the woman who kicked the first goal for the Batemans Bay Seahawks. So, Mick, tell us about Rory and what he brings to the footy club.
Yeah, Raw's is a legend, mate. He's just a no-nonsense type of footballer. Actually coached both those blokes, actually, in under-16s in 2014, so show my age a bit there. But yeah, I've obviously coached for a long period of time, and it's been great to see both those guys Probably plied their trade mostly in the reserve grade over the last, sort of 4 to 5 years, and to see them both get opportunities now playing first grade footy, really proud of them and the way that they've gone about it. I think obviously two different footballers, Tawani and Rory, but they, I think just the way they go about it is very similar. They're just hard at it. And just do everything they can for their teammates. So well done to obviously both those.
Yeah, so that second 100 gamer will be Bailey Twan, a guy who actually didn't start the season in first grade, but basically made his opportunity from an injury in just about week one and hasn't fallen out of the team since. You're talking about Rory being a no-nonsense footballer. You probably don't get a guy who's more no-nonsense at this club than Bailey Twan. He just quietly goes about his business. He always gets the job done. And as I said, look, he just forced his way into this team this season and really hasn't given anyone an opportunity or even a reason to drop him. So another very well-deserved 100 games for Bailey Twan. So look, let's get into the next part of this podcast. We're going to have a bit of fun here, Shannan, and you're going to lightly roast some of the girls in your team, I think.
I think I'll be up for that.
I had a feeling you might be. Hey, we're going to go through. We did this with JT and Cyril for the men's team a couple of weeks ago. So we thought we'd bring it back because I think it was a bit of a popular one. Bring it back for the girls. I'm going to read out a few reality TV shows here, Shannan. What I want you to do is tell me which of the girls is going to be best on each of these shows. So, for example, if I said Love Island, who do you think is the girl on your team who would be best suited to be on Love Island?
I reckon I'm going to have to say Bray.
Right.
I think she'd be the most entertaining to watch.
Okay. Strong start. MasterChef, who can cook?
That'd have to be Fergs.
Fergs?
Yeah, Fergs is brilliant.
Yeah, okay.
I often get a few snaps from her of some food, and I have to ask her whether she's actually at a restaurant or if she's cooking.
I think you'll find Ferg's family used to be involved with the boat shed down in Churros Head, so she comes by it, honestly.
Royalty.
The Block.
Oh, Ali. It'd have to be Ali Ryan.
Yeah.
But she'd have to have someone that would be the designer, I think. So, yeah, Elle would be the carpenter, but designer, I reckon Gabby would be a really good combination. It'd be entertaining.
Gabby,
Nothing else.
Okay. Survivor. Who'd be the best on Survivor?
Mandy. She's a little forager, so loves her plants and birds and all of the above.
Okay.
I reckon she'd be a good one.
There you go. Married at First Sight.
Ooh,
Who's our
can it
best?
be a previous player?
They can be anyone.
Jess Willow.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I reckon that would be a good one for her.
Alone Australia. So if you haven't heard of this one, it's basically like they just drop someone in the wilderness by themselves and you got to survive. It's kind of like Survivor but on steroids because you play yourself. Yeah, kind of.
Oh, I don't know. Have to be someone that's like a bit mad. Maybe Ellie Thompson. I don't know about survival skills, but
I think JT would like that answer. Just get a feeling.
Yeah, I reckon you'd have to have you have to have a bit of go about you.
Okay. Dancing with the Stars. I'm not saying that we have any like celebrities on the team, but who's got the moves?
Oh, Gabby, I think.
Gabby?
Yeah.
Okay. Who would be the most entertaining to watch on Gogglebox?
I think I would be.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I have been told I talk a little bit, so I reckon I'd have a few comments.
Okay. All right. The Bachelorette. Who's the best Bachelorette on the team?
Hannah.
Okay.
Yeah, Hannah, I reckon would be great for that.
Okay. Lego Masters. Do you think you've got a secret brick expert on the team?
I reckon one of the mums surely would have to have a bit of skill set there, so maybe Linda.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Good answer. SAS Australia.
Oh God. So Phelps.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I reckon you'd have to have a fair bit of grit. Yeah.
The farmer wants a wife. Who do you think is most likely to date a farmer to find love?
Oh, what do they do with that one? They go to the farms?
They go to the farms,
okay.
yeah.
Or maybe Amanda.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I reckon Amanda might be the one. She likes outdoors.
Yeah, good. Big Brother. Who's our best housemate?
Maybe Caitlin? I
Okay.
think Caitlin might be a good one for that one.
Okay. The Voice. Who's got the best pipes?
God, I don't know. How many of these shows are there?
Two more after this.
Yeah, I am going to have to say maybe Ebony. I reckon she'd have a crack. Don't know if she can sing though.
Okay.
The confidence would be up there.
Yeah, good. The second last one, The Amazing Race. And give us a team. Like, if you could
Okay.
team two of them up, who do you think would do best?
Carmen.
Yep.
I reckon Carmen would be a good one because she'd be like fast but also smart. And then I reckon it'd have to be Emma because I think they could get along enough to get through it, but they'd also be wanting to win.
Okay, yeah, I don't mind that. And last one is I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here.
Oh, I don't know what they do in that one.
It's basically just, how would you describe it, Nick?
Oh,
It's just
they-
dropping people who probably don't
People
belong.
gross things. They try and take them out of their comfort zones and do
Oh.
like with snakes and spiders and stuff crawling on.
I reckon it'd have to be Ellie Ryan because I think she thinks she's a celebrity.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
she's got that part down pat. And then, the survival skills, I guess.
Okay, good stuff. That's all I've got. I'm out of reality TV. Well, I'm not out of reality TV
That was
shows.
good. You shared love there. Everyone got a crack.
I think Cyril and JT just stuck to like 5 blokes from memory.
That was good.
All right, we're going to get into the more serious part of the podcast now. We're going to put Shannon White under the spotlight. But first of all, Mick's got his 6 questions for you.
Yeah, so we've got our quick fire questions, Shan. Hopefully they get answered appropriately, not Victorianly. Tomato sauce, do you keep it in the fridge or the pantry?
Fridge.
Yep,
Oh,
good.
lost me. Chicken parmigiana, palmy or palmy?
I hate to say it, it's Parma.
Yes!
I did hear there was a 6-pack involved too, if I said it.
Yeah, possibly. I think, was that for me or for her? I can't remember.
I'm putting my name on
I'm just going to say, like, straight away, you're my favourite guest.
Go-to karaoke song.
Oh, I really hate karaoke, so I would avoid it at all costs. Can that be my answer?
Yeah, I've never heard that one.
Favourite AFL player or AFLW player of all time?
AFLW has to be Chloe Malloy. And then I was a very big fan of Barry Hall.
Yep.
Just want to point something out here. Shannon has a brother who played AFL games. I reckon he'd feel pretty stiff to hear that he's not. I just want to put that out there.
We said player. I mean, he's my favourite,
Yeah,
yes,
okay.
but not player.
Okay, gotcha. Good save.
And the best Seahawk or your favourite Seahawk since you've been at the club?
I think my favourite Seahawk to watch progression-wise has been Sophie Elves. I think from just sheer athletic ability through to like perseverance and just drive, ticks all the boxes.
Yep. And if you could go out for dinner with any 3 people in the world, who would they be?
Bit of a nerd answer, Dr. Huberman. I love listening to his science podcast. I reckon Russell Brand would be a really interesting one to have. And then, who would be a third one? I feel like I'd actually really love to just have a chat to someone like Sha'Carri Richardson, like the Olympic sprinter. I think it'd be really interesting to talk to a whole bunch of different people from different outlooks.
So you just get all these blokes who come on here and they're like, well, my favourite footy player and some celebrity crush, and we get Shannon on here and she actually has intelligent answers. It's great.
I'll try and get back the other way.
Not that I know who any of them are.
Yeah. I think I knew 2 of them. Hey Shannon, let's talk about you. What's your history at the club? When did you first kind of become part of the Seahawks fold? What kind of positions have you held at the club?
So like most girls, I couldn't play footy as a kid. There wasn't any options. And the pathways that were available, they weren't encouraged the way that they are now. So footy for me started with the Seahawks. I came on board in, I think it was 2021, which was the second season after the women's team was formed. I'd played some summer soccer with the girls and then kind of said, hey, we've got a great bunch. Come along, give it a crack. And it's one of the things that I think the Seahawks team has done really incredibly is just create an environment that's incredibly welcoming regardless of skill level. So I played 2021 and then 2022. Got injured last year, didn't play, so this is my third season. And that's pretty much the extent of it, really. I actually counted 44 games.
44 games.
So, yeah, getting there very slowly, but I haven't really held any other positions in terms of like coaching or anything. This has been the first year for me. But playing-wise, I've kind of played off half-back the first year, centre half-back and full-back the second year, and then I moved across to half-forward this year. So it's been a bit of a progression and a good challenge this year. But it's been, really, really diverse for me, I think, with footy, because something I've always wanted to have a crack at, but never really got the opportunity until I came here.
It's funny you mentioned that you played some summer soccer with the girls, because I've spoken to a few of the girls from my previous role as well, and that's actually quite a common answer, is that they started as soccer players, they meet some of the Seahawks playing even winter comp or summer comp, and then they come and join the club, and they all tend to love it. I know when I was still at the paper, both of my journalists were playing for the club. Obviously, Fergs was with the paper for a while, but we also had young Maeve Bannister. I'm not sure if you remember her from 2022, but she came along and did a bit of training and played a few games, and she loved it as well. And I think you're right. I think the culture that has been built in that playing group is probably its biggest strength. Would you say?
I would say absolutely. Considering when I first started, I think there was maybe 5 girls who had really played footy before. The rest, I would say 80% of them had watched a game, and then there was a strong section that really hadn't watched any at all, whereas we've actually gone the other way now. So 90% of the team has played and 10% haven't. It's quite a big change in 5 years.
Wow.
But yeah, that inclusivity regardless of skill set. So I'd played 2 seasons of soccer before I started playing football, so I had no sporting ability really, never played a catching sport before I came to footy. And there was never any judgment, never any issues with that. The Seahawks have been so welcoming, and I feel that the progression of girls this year, so we've got Abby Blacker and Elliot that have both started this year, you wouldn't be able to tell. You really wouldn't, because they're able to bridge up to the skill set much quicker, because that skill level across the team is just so welcoming and so encouraging.
What was it that drew you to the coaching side of it?
Luck, I think.
Okay.
Because I got injured last year, I was on the sidelines and was giving Az a bit of a hand, and there was a couple of games he wasn't able to coach. He wasn't had a few things on, and said, "Hey, look, I think you kind of know what you're talking about. Do you want to come and give me a hand?" And I was like, "Well, not really, but I will." And then I actually really enjoyed it. Surprised myself, actually. I had a bit of a knack for it, more than I thought that I would.
Yeah.
Obviously, my personal life, my role, I'm an exercise physiologist, so I specialise in strength and conditioning, and my job is to coach people, so I have that background, but footy was never really on my radar. And I actually rang my dad and apologised to him straight after that first game. I was like, I have listened to so much from you over the years, because he coached a lot of junior footy, and clearly I'd picked up a fair bit.
Yeah.
I think I'd actually noticed it last year. Myself, obviously, been pretty heavily involved in coaching for the last 10 years, and with the role I'm at with the AFL now, I actually watched Shannan a couple of times last year, and I think I obviously approached you at the end of the year to get on board, and obviously it comes back through a profession as well, but I thought the way that she delivered the message was very good, and obviously watching her a couple of times this year as well. She's got definitely potential in the coaching arena, I reckon.
Thank you.
Future head coach at the club, you reckon, Payne?
Potentially, who knows?
I'm not sure what it looks like in the future. It's definitely been a learning curve. I think we spoke about this a few weeks ago, that it's very different coaching a group of people versus coaching individual skill sets. I've worked with a number of different athletes, from amateur through to professional, and a lot of AFL athletes, and it's very, very different ball game really when we're talking about skill set versus team environments.
Now you've got a bit of a footballing pedigree. You mentioned that your dad coached a lot of junior footy. You've got a couple of brothers who I think we mentioned it before, one was AFL listed, another plays quite high up in the VFL, is that correct?
No, that's the same brother.
Same brother, sorry, same brother, I'm getting confused.
So I actually have been watching football nearly my entire life. I think I was 1 when my dad won his first flag.
Okay.
And then, so I've been watching the boys through Auskick. So there's 3 brothers. They've all played pretty high level footy. Mitch obviously having taken that a little bit further when he was drafted.
Yep.
So he was listed for 3 years, I believe, with Melbourne. And then when he was delisted, he re-signed with Casey Demons and has been the VFL captain there for about 6 years.
Yep.
So 2022 premiership player and captain, and then the Norm Goss medalist as well, which was pretty cool to watch. So I've just grown up in an environment where footy talk is table talk. That's what we talk about at dinner. If you're not at the footy, you're watching footy. So I've picked up a lot through the years and been very lucky that they're very supportive of me playing footy, getting better at footy. I ring them quite frequently and have a chat about it. My dad, I reckon, messaged me within about 20 minutes after the game to tell me what the score was. I was like, I know, I was there. But yeah, they've been really, really good about it. And, you know, even like last week, you know, sending videos and they're helping me with like ball drop and changing technique and that kind of stuff. I really enjoy working on those specific skills and they've been really good about it.
You're from Melbourne originally. What brought you to Bateman's Bay? Well, I mean, obviously we love the fact that you've come up here and you're such a big part of the club. But what was it that drew you to the area?
I've been moving around the coast a little bit since I left uni. So I was up north for a while there and was coming back down the coast. My family actually lives in Eden, which is how I ended up here. Okay. But yeah, got headhunted. They sort of contacted me. I've been working in a few different clinics across the coast, and they sent me a message about coming down here because I specialise in musculoskeletal and sporting injuries and women's health, which is why I'm so passionate about women and sport, because it is one of the most important areas for me, both research-wise and just enjoyment. It's a really passion area. That's how I ended up here. Was just working in a clinic and been here 4 or 5 years now, I think. Don't really feel like leaving anytime soon.
Yeah, I think we're all kind of in that boat, that same boat, aren't we? None of us are locals to the area, but I think we've all kind of found our place here, and I think we can all vouch that it's a beautiful place to live, and I mean, Penny and I can at least vouch for the fact that it's a beautiful place to raise a family as well. So let's talk about the team itself. Do you think this is the best version of the women's Seahawks team that you've been a part of?
It's really hard to say because I think that from the original team, which as much as I talk like I have been, I wasn't actually a part of. So from that first team, kind of winning through to the grand final on basically athletic ability and grit, which hats off to Mick Elves. Somehow, I've never watched any of the games, so I don't know what it looked like, but I think it's pretty impressive to win through to the grand final in your first year. To now where Aaron's kind of built a really incredible base, and then Kim's come into a ready-made team that's ready to step up to that next level. So I think skills-wise, passion-wise, dedication, absolutely it's the best team. I had the pre-season program, which the girls, I wasn't sure what the reception was going to be, but they're all really keen to do running program, strength conditioning program, which, you know, again, it is my profession, so I like doing things really well. But the girls were really on board with taking that, and we've nailed that, I think. Coming in really fit, really strong. The girls are here early kicking, they're here early running. They do sessions outside of training as well now, so I think overall, yeah, it's definitely the best team.
I covered that first year from the perspective of working for the paper, and I think the kind of the identity that they played with that first year, and you can probably chime in on this one as well, Mick, but they were just hunting the footy. They just hunted in a pack. They outworked their opposition. Sure, that the skills probably weren't as high as some of the other teams, and that kind of showed at the start of that season when they were probably dropping a few games to teams that they would be beating quite easily later in the season. But I think it was just, they were all so passionate about playing. They were so hard at the footy, and I think they've kept that identity, but as Shannan mentioned, have really added the skills and the game plan and the tactics and all the other stuff that you really need to be such a good football team. And yeah, I mean, it's going from strength to strength from my perspective as a bit of an outsider.
Yeah, I think you're right, mate. But I also think, in saying that, I think other teams are getting better, and same as women's footy in general. I think, if you've watched women's footy from 5 years ago and now you're watching it now, it's come leaps and bounds. And I think that was probably the progression that our team needed to go in, and obviously because the other teams are improving as well. But yeah, definitely, I think from memory watching that side, 5 or 6 years ago or whenever it was, I think that's what they were really built on, was just effort, numbers at the contest. Mick had a really strong defensive plan in place because he knew that he was obviously up against it with girls that hadn't played too much footy, but his planning and the way that they went about it. But to see, like Shan said, to see where they've come now, not only skill-wise, but their professionalism. They're rocking up early to training. They're doing their own sessions, and they're really working hard at their skill set and their fitness as well. I think it's definitely probably the best Seahawks women's team I've seen for sure.
Shan, last question for me. We have an under-16s girls team in the junior setup, and there's plans to potentially start a Rising Stars team in the next couple of years. That must be really exciting for you and Kim and I guess the leadership group, knowing that there's going to be pathways for younger girls to have the opportunity to play such a high level of footy.
Honestly, it's pretty incredible. Like I said before, we didn't have that opportunity. It just wasn't available, which when you think about it now is kind of unbelievable. And watching some of those girls progress through, we've had like Jess Westbrook play a couple of games with us, and the way she kicks the footy is just so beautiful to watch because she's just grown up with the footy in her hand. We've got a few girls there, like I've seen them at training, Hunter, Amy, Millie and Grace. They really know how to play, and it just shows if you can teach them from 5 or 6 and you start Oz kick, the way that they come through. Statistically, the girls, because you don't have the same amount of force, you can't kick the ball as far, you have to play with a higher level of skill, and that's what it looks like, and it is really cool to watch that being playing out in a community level.
Yeah.
I think a good example of that as well is someone who's come into the senior setup this year, Sophie Firth. I've had a little bit to do with her and watched her development over the years, and I think now just to see where she's come from, obviously playing against the boys for so long, and now coming into that women's setup, I think that's been unreal to watch, and I'm sure you'll be able to justify that.
Yeah, it's a very interesting position to be in. Like, I think I've got the biggest case of imposter syndrome being a coach as it is. And then you've got little Sophie coming in that is just such an athlete. And I'm like, okay, but I'm going to ask you to do this. I can't do it. But, and I think for her too, it's a really interesting, it is obviously emulated in the AFLW as well. But for us, she's played, 60, 70 games. And we're like, hey, we've played a lot less. Can you tell us what to do? And it's a really interesting position to be in when you've got juniors having to tell seniors what to do. But in hats off to her, she's taken it in stride and she's very happy now to kind of go, actually, this would be better. But it is awesome to really see that. And I think it's going to be a really cool thing around the club that the numbers will start to even out quite a lot with the women at the club as well, which just creates that more community vibe. And, it is a part of history really here.
I think another player worth mentioning, and she's probably a couple of years older than some of those other ones, but it's Claudia Hannon. She obviously came into this club, into this side quite young. I think she was 16 when she kicked 6 goals in a prelim that helped the girls qualify for a grand final. Something she was very young, and she's still young. She's what, 18, 19, Claudia?
I think so, yeah. I think Claudia's probably unlucky that she's just fallen into an age bracket where if she was a little bit younger, she probably would have had a few more opportunities coming up as she gets that bit older. Unfortunately, it is coming down to infrastructure in terms of the AFL capacity and what those pathways look like. They are opening up. They are creating more. There is more potential for the girls to go higher, but Claudia is a really unlucky example that she's incredibly talented, and I think if we had had that pathway option earlier, she would have gone a lot further.
Hey, let's finish off the podcast by mentioning the juniors, because some of our grades did play finals over the weekend, and I forgot to mention this earlier in the show, so I apologise to the juniors. But let's go through the results from the weekend. It was all first week of the finals here. So we had our under 11s mixed. They were defeated by Pambula 139 to 55-35. Best players in that grade were Calvin Ma, Marna Voller, and Thomas Carey. Our under 13s mixed had a win over Bermagui. That one was 2-113 to 117. Best players in that grade were Jake Price, Jack Owen McDonald, and Lawson Melton. The under 15s boys had a crushing win over Pambula. This was a big one, 16-9, 105 to 3-3-21. A team that they hadn't beaten during the regular season. So our boys are going straight through the grand final, I believe. Best players in that grade were Ryder Freya, Zachabella, and Blair Wheatley. And unfortunately, under 16s girls went down, but that's just been a fantastic season for them. They went down 2-4-16 to 7-9-51 to Eden. Best players from that grade were Amy White, Millie Duncombe, and Lucy Foster. So congratulations to all the juniors that played finals over the weekend. Congratulations to the teams that will be moving on as well.
Yep.
But yeah, so tell us, is there any finals coming up this weekend for the juniors? Who's in action?
Yep, so under 15s, as you mentioned, massive win by them. They're straight into the grand final. Unfortunately, the under 11s and 16s girls bowed out, and our under 13s have progressed through to preliminary final on Saturday morning, which is at 9 o'clock at Merimbula. So if you're a real footy fan, you can go down to Merimbula and watch the 13s, and then you can come back and then watch the rest of the footy here.
That's not a bad plan. Although we let's go half. So we've got some fancy for the girls as well, eh?
Sure.
Yeah, we'll send the hypothetical bus down to Merimbula. Hey, thanks guys. That was a nice efficient one tonight. Thanks to Shannan, our guest. I hope you had fun.
Yep.
We went too scary, I don't think. And Mick, as always, it's been a pleasure.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.